All right, everybody. Still June 7th, 2021. We got about 10 seconds till the market close. I figured have a little fun here and we'll see what happens right at the end of the day. I'm watching the dollar, I'm watching the 10-year, I'm watching oil, and the dollar already closed. And so what did we finish after the day? Dow down 0.35%, S&P flat, Nasdaq up 0.5%. And interesting dynamic here during the day, right? We had the Dow starting as the one going up, and then it fell during the day. However, the Nasdaq started lower and rose during the day. So, what is the dynamic right there? Well, if you watch my videos, what am I watching? Crude oil, dollar, 10-year yield. Oil finished the day lower after being higher earlier in the day. And so that especially puts pressure on the kinds of companies that are in the Dow Jones. While everything tends to go up when the Dow rises, the Dow is an industrial index. It's weighted towards the value sector, while the Nasdaq is weighted towards the growth sector. And so oil supports the financial and energy industry more than anything, and then the market just tends to follow that. And the tech stocks are less dependent on it. So on days when oil falls, you can expect the industrial stocks to underperform in general. That being said, the ETF that I use to trade oil, which is USO, did finish the day flat. And if you go to a 10-day chart of it, I mean, it's just, this is nothing really in terms of the price of crude oil. I didn't touch my oil today, and I plan to add to it if it does dip substantially in any form, substantially being more than 1%. And the other dynamic that I'm sure you were watching today is the price of gold and silver. So what happened there? Well, the dollar, actually, I should start with the dollar. The dollar was above 90, and it had this knee-jerk higher to 90.6 on the 3rd and the 4th. And when that happened, I said, I'm not concerned at all. The dollar's going lower. And what have we seen? The dollar give back all of its gains and is back below 90. And that is putting a floor under the precious metals market. Gold is back over 1900. So this is very, very key level here. 90 in the dollar, 1900 in gold. If the dollar breaks significantly below 90, down to 89, something like that, you can expect gold to rise substantially from that 1900 level. At least that would be my expectation. I would expect it to break 1920, and from there it's really off to the races until 1950. I expect this to be at 1950 pretty quickly here. It could happen this week even, with the way the dollar is acting. I mean, the dollar cannot catch a bid. No, I mean, I've been super bearish on the dollar, but it just can't catch a bid, man. It goes up for one day and then it goes down. And so it's a very, very precarious state for the dollar. Now, obviously, when I talk about the dollar going down, first of all, we have to understand that this is relative to other currencies. And what is happening to other currencies? They're being inflated as well. So a normal person might look at it and say, well, if all currencies are being inflated, or maybe this is just my crazy mind because I'm always thinking about every possible thing that I can, and it's not the healthiest thing all the time, but a normal person might look at it and say, well, that means that, so why would the dollar really keep falling, Because other central banks are doing the same thing. Maybe the price in gold and silver would rise, but why is the dollar specifically falling? And it is, again, through understanding that the Federal Reserve wants and is creating the dollar crisis. Through understanding that, you understand why the dollar is falling. And in simple terms, it is because the Federal Reserve is the worst offender in terms of the amount of currency being created, dollars being created. I mean, for example, the Federal Reserve is the only central bank out there that is literally funneling dollars to central around the entire world. Okay, this isn't happening in the Eurozone. I mean, it's happening to much smaller amounts, but they are literally sending dollars because the dollar being the world reserve currency is what people need on reserve in order to meet their margin requirements, okay, in order to keep their financial system stable. And I guess I should touch on this topic while I'm here. Now, there's a lot of people that talk about this country is against this country, and then that country is against that country. And the biggest one I see here is the US versus the Chinese, the Americans versus the Chinese. Now, my personal perspective is that while there are certain individuals and organizations within each country, the US and China, that wish to have a certain kind of supremacy among each other, ultimately, these countries and the whole world is being used as a sort of testing ground for the people that control the Federal Reserve and the people that control the banking system as a whole. Because, again, the entire system is built upon the dollar. Why does every single country in the world follow the dollar? And why? And I get that they're trying to get out from under the dollar, but they've been trying to do this for decades now with absolutely no success. The dollar's dominance is really at an all-time high in my eyes. Now, I understand that it used to be a higher percentage of world reserves, but again, there's nothing changing here for the dollar. And if China really wanted to fight against the dollar, why not just sell all of your treasuries, back the yuan by gold, and start pricing things, everything you export in yuan backed by gold? That would be a much more attractive asset for an investor who understands real value to own. But no, they don't make any moves like this. They let the system play out as it's supposed to be played out, and that is one where the dollar continues to dominate. But the other thing I have to mention here, you might be saying in your mind, well, why would they be killing the dollar then? Right? If the dollar is the one that's supposed to dominate, the dollar is what's giving them all this power, why are they killing it? It's understanding that they will create the problem with the dollar, but the solution will be one where the dollar is even more dominant, right? Because the way that they'll be able to frame it is that it wasn't a creation of theirs. They need the digital dollar to compete with China. That was what our Congress people were saying the other day. So there's all these different moving factors in terms of why is the dollar dominant? Why will it stay dominant? Who really runs the show? Now, there's a lot of stuff you could look at that basically China is a testing ground. The whole country, is a testing ground industrially. I mean, the citizens of China are not given a single care about. And if, say again, that the U.S. wanted to use its military to repatriate these Chinese citizens and save them, this could have been done a long time ago. That's not what I'm advising towards even, but there's no question that the state of China is basically allowed to run amok without any criticism, without any real concern. I get all the people that say there's certain things out there, but ultimately, nothing's been done in China. Okay. Kind of big off track here, but to bring this all together, the dollar is the mechanism. The dollar is falling back below 90. The Federal Reserve continues to be the public enemy number one in terms of money printing globally, hence why the dollar will continue to fall, hence why I own precious metals, and and everybody wants to own precious metals. Central banks. This was one thing I wanted to have up earlier for you, but my computer just lost power and I lost the article. But basically, I posted something the other day about how everybody's acquiring gold, but China hadn't reported theirs. Well, they did just update their May gold holdings, and I believe they're up over $10 billion. So that's something. I mean, $10 billion, not a whole lot in this day and age, given how stuff is working out, but still good, right? So to review everything here, um, and also I had tweeted this earlier, but I missed it in my pre-market. We had Janet Yellen coming out and say, "Oh, we're gonna need to raise rates at some point." Now, normally, talk about raising rates, increasing the amount of interest paid on dollar deposits. Well, you might think that that's positive for the dollar. Well, what happened to the dollar? It just fell off a cliff and is back below 90. So, and we finished basically even in the stock market. The stock market didn't care. I mean, it was lower earlier, but it really doesn't care because it knows what's going to happen. It knows this stuff isn't stopping. Now, I know that I covered a lot of stuff here, and now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably do a write up. Maybe I'll do one this coming weekend, talking about why, you know, well, talking about why different countries, even though they're seemingly in competition with one another, are really working towards one unified goal. And even with people in there that think they're working towards something, they don't have the power to really change things. They are being used as pawns in a game that's much larger than themselves. That's it. I think I'm going to leave you on that. Just overall, I mean, I remain a massive bull in this market. Gold, silver. I think everything is going higher, other than the dollar, of course. I didn't mention the 10-year, but 10-year is stable today. Nothing really to report there. I think that everything's set up for the market to go higher. This is just a little bit of a cool off day, and some things rose anyway. So especially gold and silver. So that's looking great. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. This has been really good. And I want to give a shout out to anybody new that has subscribed to this channel, and especially if you're watching till the end. I mean, who even watches to the end of these videos? This has been a freaking ramble. Alright. I'm sorry. But please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow morning.